Rev up your engines! Alright, here we have a 2017 Nissan Rogue, made in, of all places, Korea. Manufactured by Renault Samson Motors for Nissan Motor Company. Okay, these are made in Korea. Now, from my experience of these, I would not buy one of these. For a while, they were made under contract in Korea. They're now made in Tennessee, where they seem to be somewhat better than these. Now this one's got a serious problem. It's coming from the front of the motor here. It's got a timing chain in there. But unfortunately, you're not going to hear the noise until the end of the video because I have to film that tomorrow morning. It only does it when it's cold. And I've seen it 1,000 times in these. They have a timing chain tensioner that doesn't work right. The timing chain tensioner works by oil pressure. When the engine's cold, it doesn't push out fast enough. The engine rattles for a few seconds, then it stops rattling. That's because the tensioner needs replaced. Now, you got to take the engine apart to do it. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Many people will drive them years this way. If the noise only lasts for a short time and goes away, a lot of Toyotas will do that too. And I've seen people drive the Toyotas years that way. Now, this particular vehicle's been wrecked on the side, and I can see they didn't fix it perfectly because I can hear clunking coming on this side. It's a noise of suspension bushing. It was a $10,000 insurance job, so it was a relatively big job, right? And this is why I tell people, you get in a big wreck, it's not a great idea to usually keep the car because something is going to go wrong as time goes on. And I can hear it clunking. Now, it handles okay and everything. But since it's been a wreck, I don't trust anything. I'm getting out the big computer. And I do mean big. It's the biggest one I ever had. It's a new Autel. I'm impressed by it so far. So we got it hooked up. We'll turn the key on and we'll set things up. So we'll do a pre-scan. Not scanning. Woo, man, this baby's fast. Look at it go. All right, so you can see all these systems are good. The only problem is fault in the laser radar system. That's that laser cruise stuff. We'll look at the trouble code. And it says radar stain, component block. You get dirt on them. So, hey, somebody probably got it dirty. I see this all the time. We'll just erase it, yes. A lot of times people clean them. They don't erase the code. The code stays there. It was a historical code. So, now we're going to look at engine data. We'll get a bunch of stuff. So here we go. Here's the engine. And we will, as it pops up, select live data. Start her up. And we'll do all signals. Now you can imagine that with this Autel scanner, it's their top of the line. It's a MaxiSys Ultra. There's going to be data up the wazoo. See? Look at all this stuff. A lot of stuff to look at, but we'll look at the important thing. Voltage is fine, it's charging. The ignition time is fine. The air fuel alpha, it's almost perfect. It's 99, now it's 100. 100's perfect, so it's pretty close to perfect. Yes, airflow is good. No, the data's perfectly good, so it shows that even though the engine's making this noise, and like I say, I'll film it at the end, because I got to film it tomorrow morning when it's ice cold. And I'm sure it's the timing chain rattling around because the stupid tensioner has to pop out when the engine's cold. But it doesn't have any codes for the valve timing being off and stuff. So it's really not affecting the running of the car. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to go to measurements and we're going to go to the CAN bus system. And you got various things we can look at. We'll look at the high-speed CAN first. There's a high-speed CAN. Now we'll look at the low-speed CAN. You can see the low speed is the same. Except, of course, it's a little bit lower. Well, we know the system's working, but that proves it. If there was a problem in the system, we can immediately see if it's in the high-speed system or the low-speed system. In this case, there's no problem. So again, this new scanner's coming in handy. Big so you can see it. Even an old guy like me who's half blind can read these things. So, another plus for this scan tool. I'm trying it out now, and so far, I gotta say, it does things that I don't expect to see in a normal scan tool. Get out if you have an electric car, either hybrid or full electric, you can de-energize and energize the battery, which they say to do every 4 to 6 months. Realize the batteries in hybrid and electric cars have to be messed with every once in a while. They got to be drained out correctly, then filled back up again correctly, or they won't have such a long lifespan. They cost so much money, you want to do something like that. So you'd pay a mechanic like me to do it every, say, 4 to 6 months if you want the battery to last as long as possible. Now, this Rogue has 175 horsepower, 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine, but it's connected to a CVT transmission, the infamous Jacko transmission. I'm not really a fan, so let's see how it actually runs. As I mentioned, it was in a wreck. You heard that clunk. The suspension's got a little clunk on the right-hand side. You heard that. It's nothing outrageous, but to me it shows that they just didn't put it back together correctly. It's a little bit off. I looked on it. There's nothing really worn out or anything. But I can hear the wheel bearing roaring up front, so the wheel bearing was damaged and they didn't replace it. They should have. Ride's okay, not a spectacular ride, but it's a relatively short wheelbase vehicle. These are econo cars. They're not going to have the greatest ride in the world. It's mainly the CVT transmission that I want to test out here. So nobody that way, nobody that way. Here we go. Not bad. For CVT, it's got a lot of zip. It's got a lot more zip than the 2-liter Honda that I drove today, too. And it's relatively zippy. You step on the gas, it makes a lot of noise, and it does go faster than the Honda CVT does. And of course, being a Nissan, they make decent suspension systems. They always make kind of zippy cars, so they handle quite well. Then again, it is a Jatco transmission. There's no saying how long this thing is going to go before it breaks, because they're notorious for breaking down. It goes uphill fine. 175 horsepower. Reasonable amount of horsepower for a little bitty car. And it's not a tiny engine like a 1.5 or 1.3. It's a 2.5 liter engine. It's a reasonable size. And for its size, it gets pretty good gas mileage. And the air conditioning is freezing cold. That's a plus. And it's certainly high enough up in the air. It's not going to be a problem going out with this bump and not scraping anything. You can hear that clunk back there. That's some kind of bushing from the wreck, I'm assuming. Relatively comfy seats. Nice shaped steering wheel, black and chrome. And of course, you know, regular backup camera. Nothing swanky. It's kind of small, but it fits in the dash. But we're going to have to wait until tomorrow morning to hear the noise, because it only makes it when it's ice cold. So stay tuned. It won't take you long, an instant here, but it's got to wait all night. So I'll film it in the morning. So here we go. Early the next morning. It's going to pour rain soon, so I got up early. We'll zoom in on the front and listen. Okay, hear that? Ta-dunka, ta-dunka. That's the timing chain. And actually, it's not that bad. It's just starting up. So it can be that the timing chain tensioner is carboned up. It's dirty from not enough oil changes, right? The oil changed and flushed out. If it goes away entirely, it was because the carbon built up, right? Then the little rod on the hydraulic tensioner will slide better and the chain won't rattle. It runs fine. It has no code, so the timing's not off. In this case, bad oil changes hopefully just clogged it up. Maybe it won't have a problem, but they asked me should they keep it or not, and I'm going to stick to my guns on this. It runs good now. The noise isn't loud at all now. I'd say get rid of and get yourself a Toyota and a Honda. This is her car. His car is a Toyota Prius that he loves, that he's driving all over the place. So that would make more sense in the long run. Used car prices are still high. To get some good money for this, get out of it. Get a better made car. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Tony Crawford says, Scotty, got a 2021 Jeep Compass Trailhawk, 21,500 miles. The engine slows down when I push the accelerator at 40. If I nurse it, it won't bog down. Help. Well, let's pray it's the simplest thing. It's a 2021, isn't that all? Change the fuel filter. If you have a clogged up fuel filter, when you're trying to take off from 40, you're floored, it doesn't get enough fuel, and if you kind of baby it, then it can go because it can accelerate slower. Could be as simple as your fuel filter or your air filter's clogged. Start there. If not, there are a zillion things that can go wrong. You could have a transmission problem. You could have a fuel injector problem. A lot of times it's just a clogged filter. When you try to floor it, you need all the power you can possibly get. If you don't have enough air or enough fuel because the filters are clogged, it can do exactly that. And also, I don't know if you go off-road, but it's a Compass Trailhawk, right? You might have gone off-road and you might have bent one of your fuel lines. It might have gotten hit. And if the fuel line's bent, it restricts the fuel pressure and it'll do the same thing. So crawl under there, see if you hit anything and bent something. Legend says, why do my coolant fans kick on when my heater is on, but not on defrost? Well, they're supposed to come on defrost because when you turn on your heat in all modern cars with the defroster, most cars automatically turn the AC compressor on so that it makes the air dry. Realize air-conditioned air is drier than the Sahara Desert. Hot air is hot, but it's not necessarily dry. When you mix it with AC air, it dries so your windows don't fog up, right? Well, if you're putting yours on defrost and the fans don't kick on, that means that your system's not working right. Have it checked out. It could be there's a problem in the HVAC system. For some reason, it's not turning the coolant fans on when you're on defrost because it's supposed to run the air conditioning the most when it's on defrost because you don't want to fog the window up. when you just have it blowing at you, you know, you're not generally going to fog up, but it's made so. Defrost, they're supposed to come on, so have that system checked out. You could have a problem, the HVAC control or module or wiring, anything could do something like that. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.